Hello, I'm Eric Leblanc. I'm the CTO of Stamius Networks and one of its co-founders, and I'm also a member of the board of the OISF. Today, I would like to talk to you about PCAP conditional logging, a feature I did work with Scott Jordan, that should be part of Suricata 7. So let's just start with a few words about Stamius Networks. So Stamius Networks is a company I did co-found with Peter Manef in 2014. We have headquarters in Indianapolis and Paris, Indianapolis, USA and Paris, France. And we are a big fan of open source. We have different components that we publish under open source license. And we have a product that is Stamius Network Detection and Response, that is a commercial network threat detection and ping and response solution based on Suricata. So what are we currently doing for the open source community? We are really active on the OISF because we are doing some training. We are part of the board. We have also Peter, that is executive leadership of OISF, and we are working on the development of Suricata. It's more from 10 years. What we are currently publishing as open source is CELS, a turnkey-based Suricata solution that will be demonstrated in some other talks, and now for Stamius Networks that allow you to ingest data from Suricata and get some nice dashboard and some nice visualization on top of Suricata data. And also, it's also working with Stamius Networks system. We also provide GopherCap, but I will describe a little bit more in this talk because it's quite useful in some component of the solution I will explain to you today. So let's just start with a small introduction on full packet capture, on why source does matter, and why you need conditional PCAP logging, and the way to set it up, the result you got, and how you extract the data out with GopherCap, and some limitation and workaround. Okay, so what are the use cases of full packet capture? So first, let's define full packet capture. So full packet capture is the capability of storing every packet as they are seen on the wire, on disk, under the PCAP format, usually. So what allows full packet capture is to get all the data from the network and be able to replay them exactly like they have been seen on the network. There is two big usage of this feature. One is to be able to replay any part of the traffic as proof or as evidence later in the time. So it's like a video recorder for the network traffic, sorry. And the second part that is often used is the investigation, where you just have one specific event and you want to understand a little bit more what is around this specific event. In this case, the PCAP capture can be used in Wireshark, in some other tool to analyze what did happen, understand everything, maybe extract some artifact, and in a lot of cases to have evidence. So Suricata has full PCAP capture since 11 years. Yes, I will manage to say it. It's so long ago that I don't remember how to say this year. So we have PCAP capture is available since really long. We have multiple logging modes available. One mode called normal, that is in fact one single PCAP file that contains all the traffic for Suricata. And we got multi, that is one PCAP per capture thread, which will allow you to split the load of writing the PCAP over the multiple thread, and you avoid a single point of contention. So that's quite useful when you want to scale, because if you don't do this, writing in one single file with multiple threads, it's just a bad idea because you need to wait for the other to finish before you start. And then there is also another option, Sguil, that is used to inject the data inside Sguil, but it seems that the development of Sguil is stopped in 2014. So it's maybe a bit outdated. Some interesting option on full PCAP capture. You can type the PCAP capture to pass rules. So in fact, in this case, you will say, if everything has been flagged as pass by the detection engine in Suricata, I don't want to store it on the drive. So that can be useful if you want to remove some traffic out of the PCAP. It can also honor the stream depth. In this case, you will do the stream analysis on one Suricata, decide that enough stream has been analyzed, you will not store it anymore in the pickup. So it's two ways to remove some data from the pickup files to limit the size of the pickup file. We can also say that in this case, it's not really full pickup capture because we're removing a few stuff. So if you want to gain place on your hard drive and not lose any data, in this case, it's better to use the compression because it will allow you to compress the data on disk. And this way, you can win a lot of space. What kind of lot of space are we talking about? So let's take an example, which was in fact the example we did do some test with. It's 30 gigabyte per second traffic, real life university traffic. So a lot of crap inside, a lot of noise. And if you do the math, 30 gigabyte of traffic, it gets you to 300 terabytes a day, which means that you need something like 84 terabytes a disk a day to store the data. And if ever you are lucky and you've got a 10 ratio on the compression, if you activate the compression, you will still have 4 terabytes a day of disk. So it's huge. It's really huge. You need a huge volume of data to be able to store this type of traffic. And there is also another problem. That's the speed. Because if you have 30 gigabytes of traffic per second, it means gigabit, of traffic per second. It means you need 3.75 gigabytes per second of write capability, sustainable all day long. And if you look at the SATA drive, you've got something like 500 megabytes, so out. NVMe can lead you to 5 gigabytes per second. In this case, yes, it fits, but you are not really comfortable. You don't have a lot of things. It's about serial write. Here you can have multiple write at the same time. So things are getting more complicated. So yes, FPC is something that you can do, but if you want to scale up, it will be really a problem because you have a lot of place and we've got a lot of problem to be able to handle the speed. So let's get a look at the other aspect, not the video recording of the network traffic, but the usage of full packet capture, or at least partial full packet capture, that we can use to get data for investigation. So when you want to get data for investigation, one of the best starting points is to use the traffic that is related to alert. The advantage of it is that you get a really lower volume because you just have the traffic for the alert and not the full traffic and all the noise around it. So one of the problems that we have if we want to implement this inside Suricata is that how do we capture the interesting part? Because the alert happens once the traffic has been analyzed. So in a lot of cases, the triggering packets are already gone. We don't have any more of the packet that did trigger the alert. So we are missing the payload of the attack. So that's not really interesting. So we need to do a bit better. So why is it like that? So what we have is that, in fact, Suricata is doing the streaming of the IP defragmentation, then it's doing the streaming. And when it's doing the streaming, as the goal of Suricata is to analyze the traffic as it was the host receiving the traffic, it waits in IDS mode for the acknowledgement to come before doing the analysis. As a result, the analysis of the stream is done once the traffic has been acknowledged by the host, which means that we don't have anymore the packet that did trigger the capture. So as a result, if we just start the pickup capture at the point in time where we have the alert, we are missing the interesting things. So what we can do is use a concept that Scott Jordan and myself did come with at the same time. Not at the same time, but simultaneously or not, but we were discussing together at least, sorry for my confusion. And we can, what we can do is that when the detection is running, it is running on the streaming segment that we have seen. It means that if we take this streaming segment and we add on top of them the packet headers, we will have the full packet as it has been seen on the network. So which means that if you just dump at the moment you have an alert at the beginning of the flow that has never seen an alert, if you start to dump the traffic at this moment, you can rewind using this stream information and write packets that correspond to the packets that have been seen on the network. The advantage of this approach is that it has already a low memory cost instead of having a buffer dedicated to pickup capture, because you will just need extra room for the headers, just a few bytes on top of the data that are really bigger usually from the header. And this implementation also combines the fact that if you are starting to do the pickup capture using this mechanism on dumping when you have an alert, you can reuse, in fact, the existing pickup writing capability of Suricata, so you can benefit from all the options that exist. You avoid new code, and you have a better performance because you have, for example, multi-threading that is directly developed. The only thing that you have as a side effect that is negative is the fact that you will not be able to have one single pickup per alert. But as a result, also, if you have a lot of alert on one single flow, you will just have one single pickup, and you avoid the multiplication, so you have deduplication of a pickup. So that's really better in terms of space and in terms of performance. So the implementation is the joint work by Scott Jordan and me. And we have currently a pull request that is available on GitHub. I think it's not too far from a mergeable state. The code is not really big. Yes, a lot of files have been changed due to some internal API change, like 41 files. But if you look at the code, we just have something like 600 lines of code that have been added to that. So it's quite an easy path for something that was looking really complicated at the beginning. So how do you set up pickup conditional? The first thing that you need to do is just to use the conditional option that has been added to a pickup logging and set up to the value you want. So if you set it to all, it will in fact just activate the classical implementation of pickup capture that is a real full pickup capture. If you set it to alerts, then in this case, it will log all packets from alerted flows, and it will start to log when it sees an alert on a flow, and it will rewind using the stream to get the interesting part. And then from that, it will take and log every packet that has been seen on this flow. And if you choose the tag option, then in this case, all the signature will not trigger pickup conditional, but only the signature where you did use the tag keyword will trigger the logging inside the pickup of the data. So as a result, we've got something that is quite fun, which is that this option will work when reading the pickup. So in fact, you can filter a pickup from all the beginning flow and just keep the alert. To do that, just run a simple suricata-r on the pickup, activate conditional capture, and then you get as an output a smaller pickup with only the alerted flow. That's quite useful if you want to filter out a big fat pickup and just transfer what should be what should really be a problem. So in terms of storage, the results are really impressive. If you take the test that we have done on the 30 gigabyte link, where let me remind you that it was something like 300 terabytes a day. It's a university network with a lot of noise, which means that it's not like a bank where you just have a few alerts a day. It's really something noisy. So on this network, we just got 30 gigabytes a day of conditional pickup. So that's really nice because you can really investigate on what really matters, which means that what is around the alert, you get all this information. And at the same time, you have less storage from what you usually have with full packet capture. We are talking about 1,000 times, maybe more. That's really huge. So what do we need to do? Because as I said before, we are just doing conditional storage inside the pcap store of Suricata. So by that, it means that the data will end up, all the alerts will end up in one single pcap if you, for example, pick the normal mode. So this is quite a problem because you will need to extract the information from the generated pcap. So you can do it by hand because you got the flow tuple. So you can extract the information using the flow tuple with TCP dump. You can write your handmade BPF filter, source host, port, source port, destination host, destination port, and reverse. And then you get all the traffic for the flow. So that's not really convenient. And yes, one information that you need to add is that you can replay this on the capture file. That is a new field that has been added when the alert, when conditional capture is enabled, we write the capture file inside the alert event, so you know in which file to start. Why to start? Because if you have a very long flow, it will start in a file, but if the flow has a long duration, it may be also in the next file. So you need to iterate and go over the next file for the same thread. So because the first index is the thread, the second one is the type by default. So you need to do this to be able to get all the information from a flow and not just truncate that in one single file. So you can do this in TCP dump, you can do some bash, you can do something like that. But where you will start to have problem is that you may have nested layers in Suricata. For example, if you have VXLAN on AWS, if you have JRE tunnel, Suricata will decapsulate the tunnel, analyze what is inside the tunnel, and then you will alert on the information inside the tunnel. So the alert will be from source IP and destination IP that are inside the tunnel. You will also have the tunnel information in the event, but you need to combine both, because if you extract the tunnel, you can have a gigantic tunnel, so it's not exactly what you want. So you need to be able to filter on the tunnel and then filter on the IP inside of the tunnel. So it gets you a really fat BPF filter. And even if it's TCP dump, it's really complicated to do as a single pass. So here comes GopherCap. So GopherCap initial goal was not to do this kind of extraction, but it has been developed initially to replay a large data set of pcap file. What is the problem with a large data set of pcap file? For example, if you want to replay a 24-hour pcap in 1 hour, because you don't have 24 hours to wait before being able to analyze the data, the usual way to do it is to use TCP replay, set a high packet per second speed, and then you will get the traffic replayed in 1 hour. But what you will miss is that you will not have any variation in the speed of the network. It will be a flat speed. So to fix this, GopherCap has been developed to be able to replay in a shorter period of time a long pcap or a set of long pcap in one single traffic replay that take into account the delay between the packet, the inter-packet timing, and do this by just squeezing everything or extending everything. So that's really convenient when you are running some machine learning algorithm and you want to screw up everything by getting this flight packet per second rate. As a side note, Gopher also support decompression from gzip file, so you can have a small space on disk, and then it will extract dynamically the information and replay the traffic. So GopherCap is open source, it's available on GitHub, and it's a GPL v3, so you can use it freely. Let's just get a look at one GopherCap example. So let's say that you have this 24-hour pickup, but you want to replay it in 2-hour loop. So to be able to keep the packet timing, we need first to look at what the pickup is looking like. So you do that with a step that is the mapping, but you need to do just once for a set of pickups. So here you go for cap map and then specify where your pickup files are, and you dump the JSON into this file. Then after comes the replay. So you can just do go for cap replay, which interface you want to replay, use that as an input, the dump JSON that you did compute before, and then you do the timescale, enable the timescale, and scale everything on 2 hours, and then do a loop. So it replay in 2-hour loop. You can have multiple days in one. That's quite convenient. So now let's look at the extraction that you can do with GopherCap. So the extraction with GopherCap is done like this. So you do run GopherCap, extract, you specify where the pickup will be. Then you specify where the output will be with dump pickup. And then you do specify which event you want to pass. So you don't have any parsing to do. You just output the event, store it on disk, and then point GopherCap to this event. And it will automatically read in which file the pickup did start. The file format option is used to know in which file the flow may end, so it will go from one pickup to another. And you've got this option, skip BPF, that allow you to just do the parsing in Go, so it will be slower, but you may avoid any problem that you could have with TCP-dump, because TCP-dump BPF may miss some things in some cases. So if you do this, you obtain, so it's the same alert as the one before. So you obtain the traffic with the initial get, and then all the traffic below that correspond to a flow. So you exactly have what you want. You have extracted the pickup that contains the information you want with one single command. So that's quite useful if you want to get this data from the pickup. By the way, this extraction that we have here, you can use it for non-alert, because it is not using the alert. So if you want to do that on Suricata pickup storage, you can also already use that directly. You don't need to do that in the context of conditional pickup. Just get any, for example, HTTP request. If you have FPC enabled, you can get the data corresponding to this HTTP request from with GopherCap extract. So there are some limitations with this system. And the main one is with signatures that are using file data. So the file data keyword is the keyword we use when we want to match inside the file that are seen in the network traffic. By that, I mean, for example, you've got an HTTP request. You want to analyze the inside of the content of, for example, what is a PDF that you are currently downloading. So you use the file data keyword, and then it will work on the content of the file. Even if the content of the file is gzip, in the case of HTTP, it will unzip the content, look, because if it had been compressed by the HTTP server, it will unzip the content, look inside the content, and allow you to match on this. So the problem with this is that this file data is done as a third layer of reconstruction below the streaming of the application and after the application layer. So when you have access to this file data, in almost all the cases, the stream data are already gone. So you cannot rewind at the beginning when you have an alert on file data, because the stream data will not match. So you will end up a bit too far, start to dump too far in the process. So what is the solution to that? There is none really, because it means that you need a real full packet capture, or to implement something that would be really costly where you store everything. But in fact, it's not really what you want, because if you have a signature that is using file data, it means that in fact, what you are interested in is the file, that is currently seen on the network. So if you use file store in this case, you will extract the file. So add file store to the signature, then it will extract the file so you can investigate on the file that has been transferred. So for example, if I take again this example of a compressed HTTP response with a file inside, it means that you will have the content. If you just do a pickup, you will, at the best, even if it works, you have to dezip the content and then look inside the content. That can be a bit annoying. But if you have file store, you directly have the file, so you can investigate on the file, do malware analysis or things like that. So that's really what you want. So the methodology I recommend for using full pickup, to using conditional pickup, is to use tag or alerts with a conditional variable to activate the feature. And then if you want, if you have file data signature that are interesting, in this case, set the file store on them. So you will keep the file on, because this is what this data that you want to investigate are not on the pickup traffic. So conditional FPC is really a great alternative to SPC. Really less storage, but you have a lot of things you can investigate. One side effect that can be interesting is that the ET policy rules are not to be really noisy, but in a lot of cases they point to some traffic that is really interesting. So if you activate the pickup conditional, you will even have this signature that will trigger or maybe store some traffic that may later be really interesting. So that's really cool. That's really cool to have. Also, with regard to the availability, it should be available in Suricata 7. If Victor is kind enough, we will need to discuss that, but I think it's not too intrusive, so that should be okay. On that last, I would really like to thank a lot Scott Jordan for his help. It has been really helpful in doing merge requests on taking the code for some part of the code. That was really nice to work with him. And yes, you can find GopherCap on GitHub of Stammus. There is also a blog introducing GopherCap, and there is a link to the pull request. And I would just like to say thank you. If you have any question, the Q&A is there.